Hey guys, today's video is all about amazing stories of humans who raised baby animals from birth, but at some point they had to release them into the wild or send them to a bigger sanctuary where they could have better lives. But the people never forgot about their animals and they decided to visit them later, unsure if the animals would remember them, but they were in for the surprise of a lifetime. Let's get started, but first, give this video a like and subscribe, it really helps me out. Jonathan used to work at a sanctuary in Otisville, New York, where he used to take care of a bear cub named Sonia. Sonia was an orphan bear cub and she got really attached to Jonathan, even climbing under his shirt to snuggle and sleep. Jonathan eventually had to stop caring for Sonia as he left the center, but they were brought back together years later, and it was like nothing had changed, as Sonia even remembered the game they used to play, and even somehow asked Jonathan to do it again. It was like old times, as they hugged each other and played games. Jonathan said that he tucked in his shirt just in case Sonia wanted to crawl under it again, like the old times, because at the size she is now, there's no way that she would fit. Now we know that not only does the bear crap in the woods, it also remembers those humans who were kind to them. Damien Aspinall runs 2 sanctuaries that rescues gorillas and releases them back into the wild. The most important being the Jalta and Bims, the 2 gorillas he raised from babies along with his own daughter. They would spend countless hours together, but the goal was to always release them back into the wild in Gabon, which he did. 12 years later, Damien and his daughter decided to go visit the Jalta and Bims and see if the gorillas would remember them.
Ian was well aware of it. These gorillas and Bims remembered her and ran to meet her. They hugged her, jumped around her.
The gorillas lived in a huge troop of gorillas, but when they saw the father and the daughter, they remembered them completely and started hugging them and playing with them. They recalled all those great moments they had growing up, and they started acting like they hadn't been apart for a second. Eventually, they had to leave, but the gorillas could be seen pleading them not to go. It was such a nice moment of friendship between a human and another primate. This story is slightly different. This human didn't raise a shark, but they became great friends after Emma had a hook in her mouth, and Jim Abernathy removed the hook. After that, he removed 4 other hooks, and they became best friends. Due to the pandemic, he couldn't go back, but after a year, he went to see her again.
Beautiful reunion. She was the same exact shark that I've known.
At first, she wasn't showing up, but eventually she got back there and she recognized his boat and went right after it, almost asking where he was and to jump in. He immediately got his equipment on and went in, and they were able to caress each other and spend some much needed time together. It's just amazing to think that a shark can remember and distinguish between different boats and humans, especially when the guys are wearing all that equipment, but they do have a crazy sense of smell. Sonia was a baby elephant who unfortunately lost her mother, but a sanctuary took her in and they assigned Benjamin to take care of her. He did everything for it, planning their whole day and keeping it happy and healthy. Eventually, Sonia was able to go back into the wild, but she never forgot Benjamin. She even came back to visit Benjamin to show the man who loved her so much her own new baby. Sonia has consistently come back to visit Benjamin, allowing them to see her baby grow up. We all know that elephants have great memories, and they even grieve their dead, so seeing one come back to visit his adoptive parent is not that surprising, but it still brings a smile to your face. Adolfo Caram is a man in Mexico who decided to rescue animals after a ban of exotic animals took effect in Mexico. One of the lions he rescued was named Kiara, and he raised her from a cub until she had to be sent away to a larger facility. Years later, he decided that he wanted to visit her, and although the workers at the facility were scared to let him in, they allowed it, and it was like they hadn't been apart at all.
When Kiara saw Adolfo, she lunged at him and surprised her dad with...
Kiara remembered Adolfo and lunged at him, hugging him. They kept just hugging, and she even knocked him down, just so she could get even more cuddles from the man, who was basically her father. This reunion actually took place 7 years after she was transferred, which makes this reunion incredibly hard to believe. But there you have it. Parents are just unforgivable. This man had to spend 14 months away from the elephant he took care of. When he was eventually able to come back, he called them from far away, and they immediately started yelling and started running to greet him. All the elephants remembered him, and they all started vocalizing their happiness. They embraced him like he was part of the family, all while being extremely gentle. Incredible to see that they remember not only the way he looks, but also his voice, and the quickness with which they moved so they could be close to him is just incredible. Anita is a woman who spent 2 years interacting with a wolf pack located at the polar park in Norway. These are wild animals, but she was fully accepted into the pack, so when she had to leave and was unable to come back for 2 months, no one knew what was going to happen. The wolves not only remembered her, but they looked like they actually missed her a ton. Wolves can be seen as dangerous and vicious hunters, but once they accept you, you are part of the family, and any absence will be painful. Gabriel the cheetah made a volunteer when he was only 11 months old, and they spent a ton of time together. They played together a ton and just were around each other. The man decided to go visit Gabriel again after a 1-year absence, and the man was unsure of what was going to happen.
Gabe, hey buddy! Hey buddy, remember me? Good boy, Gabe. Good boy.
At first, he just got reacquainted through the gate, just to be safe. But after a while, as he noticed Gabriel remembered him and would purr when they spent time together, he decided to go into the enclosure, and Gabriel welcomed him with open arms.
Good boy, Gabe, good boy. Good boy. Good boy. Wow.
Gabriel's favorite thing to do is to groom, so that's what they spent most of the time doing, and he certainly remembered this man through the grooming, and I guess the taste as well. Christian the lion is perhaps the most famous case, where he was rejected by his mother at the zoo in London and purchased by a department store in 1969. Eventually, John Randell and Ace Burke saw him and purchased him, taking him back to their apartment. Eventually, when he got big, he had to be sent to Kenya and get rehabilitated so he could go back into the wild. They went to visit him a year later, and they were very wary if Christian would actually remember them at all. But once he came over the hill and saw the two men, he heard them calling and just rushed them and hugged them. Christian had grown up and was now more and more adapted to the wild, but he still remembered his parents, even after all this time apart. 3 years after this reunion, they went to visit Christian one more time, and he still remembered them and would sit with them, but he was much more independent and much bigger. He had been completely rehabilitated, and although he remembered the men who raised them, he was now a wild animal. Limbani was a tiny chimp who was rejected by his mother, but that's when Tani and Jorge Sanchez stepped up and became his adoptive parents. Without these two beautiful humans, Limbani would definitely not be here today, and they of course can't go too long without seeing him at his new place at the ZWF. This is his reaction every time they go and visit him. He has clearly not forgotten them, and I don't think that he will ever forget them. They played such an important role in his life, and apparently were great parents, as the love that is shown is just so grand. This is proof that animals can remember a lot more than we give them credit for, and maybe we should treat them a lot better. Let me know if you have any stories of animals that remembered you years later. Thanks for watching this video. I'll see you next time.